Right, we've now had our shear webs put in place, and we are now in a position where the wing is practically finished on the building board for it being pinned down in this state. What I've done prior to removing all the pins, which I've now done, is I've sanded the aileron profile in line with the ribs. We also had to shape the aileron leading edge and the aileron brace to its angle to meet with the wing tips. Also the leading edge, that's been shaped. It's only a very rough shape at the moment because I'll do all the proper shaping once I've finished the wing in total. And now what it needs to do, as they say in the instructions, is we need to remove our aileron section away. That can go to one side now. We need to turn the wing over on the underside. We need to do a little bit of profiling on here and on here, but I'm going to do that at a later stage. But what the main thing I want to do now is we have to do two things. We have some little ply struts. If I lift this wing up, you'll see some little ply struts that go in on the underside of the wing, both ends. And what that's for is to accept the carbane struts. What they've told me to do is make a 3/4 inch sanding block, which I've done. It's just a piece of ply with a balsa and some sandpaper stuck to it, and then I need to sand out either side to a depth of 1/8 to accept the 1/8 ply blocks, this end and this end. The only other thing that's needed to be done is I need to be putting in some quarter, I'll hold the wing around so you can see it, some quarter balsa strips on top and bottom of this rib here, and also on the inside of the aileron rib there. The reason for this is, one, it strengthens this area up, and two, when we do the covering, it gives something for the covering to purchase to, and it doesn't blow the rib when we're trying to cover it by warping it, because these are very delicate little ribs. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start sanding our grooves so we can accept those ply parts. So when you come back, I'll hopefully show you them sanded out and the parts in position. I'm not going to glue them at the moment as suggested in the plans and the instructions. I'm going to wait till later on, because it doesn't really matter if I do it later on, because I just want to be 100% sure that when these go in, they go in accurately, as I've got to drill some holes for some captive nuts that fit into these blocks, and I want to make sure everything is perfectly square before I finally glue them into position, and that'll be way further on in the build. Okay. Right, I've sanded out the notches as they said in the instructions. The aileron notch, which will take the aileron horn, and the connecting rods to both ailerons, the top and bottom wings. As you can see, it's been notched out there, and the ply bracket just sits in there like so. That'll be glued in tonight because that doesn't really matter, it's not critical, so I'll glue that in tonight. And with the carbane strut blocks, I will put them in position into their notches just to show you, but I'm not going to fit these because I'm a little unsure later on in the instructions what I need to do, and it's not imperative these go in now, so better safe than sorry. I'll wait until later on and glue them in nearer the time. I'll just pan in to show you them in their positions. Okay, as you can see, they're nice fit, nice and flush with the rear spar and the tops of the ribs, and likewise down this end here as well. As I've already mentioned, the only thing really left for me to do on this wing section now, before it gets put to one side, is to put the strengthening strips in here on the ribs, top and bottom, and likewise on our aileron on the inside edge here. So that's what I'm going to do now before I say this wing's finished. Right, our wing is now complete. All the bits and pieces I've done now. Nothing more to do on this except for sanding and final shaping of the leading edge. I'm going to leave this until later on in the project. I'll just have a quick run through the wing. There's your wing tips with all the braces in place, and as you can see, the aileron leading edge and brace is being profiled to shape. Also the leading edge, these pieces still need a bit more work doing on them, but it's just roughly shaped. The aileron connection rod is now in place, and as you can see, I've added 2 1/4 by 1/4 inch pieces of balsa just to give it a bit more beef, because I didn't really like just that 1/8 1/4 square sitting there resting on the wing. I felt it could easily be pulled out when the ailerons are moving up and down in flight. As we move along, you can see also we've got our packing pieces in to stiffen up the rib prior to the aileron. This also helps with the covering, as if you just cover onto the rib, because it's very thin, it's probably going to bow it or rip it out completely when we tighten it up with the iron. Moving along, you can see the shear webs in place. Got our dihedral braces in place now. They're all nice and square, our top sheeting, and if you look on down the wing, it's a nice level wing. That's it for this part of the wing. As you can see on the table now, I've got the actual plans for the left side of the wing, and they've been pinned down ready to start that, and that's the next stage. Also on this plan you'll see that we have the centre section of the wing as well. That's got to be done last. I won't show you the left hand side of the ring being built because it's pretty much the same as the right side, but we will come back and have a look at the centre section when I move on to that and actually joining the 2 wing halves to the centre section. Okay, that's it for now. Hope you've enjoyed watching this, and I'll catch you when we come to the centre section.